Mike, how you doing, man? Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me. I am Mike from Darkest Hour, and this is not my normal room. And I'm excited to come at you live from the upstairs of the dojo, somewhere I don't normally do interviews from, because we have some exciting recording happening downstairs. We're working on the Darkest Hour record right now. And
Awesome.
We have a whole bunch of people here that everybody's been vaccinated and coming out of the woodworks now. So it's like, yeah, big times over here, but I'm happy to
Nice.
talk. So thank you for taking the time.
Yeah, of course. Not only are you the one of the founding members of Darkest Hour, you also have your own your recording studio, the Rift Dojo. You're also a painter, and you are the guitarist for a hardcore band called Be Well.
Yep. Damn, you got my resume right there. I like that painter made it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I like that I made it in there now.
Of course, I've got questions for that too. Don't worry.
Okay, shit. All right.
So let's talk about Be Well. The band features members of Bane, Fairweather, and Battery. How did Be Well get started?
Well, Bane, Fairweather, I'm seeing if you left, there's a kind of a pedigree in there. Yep, you got them all. Well, it actually starts with Darkest Hour,
Okay.
which is interesting because we recorded 3 records with the producer Brian McTurnan.
Okay.
And that's where I really became friends with Brian. But I guess before that, it even starts with the band Battery, who I was in. I guess I should have my story with Be Well starts with Darkest Tower, but together, me and Brian's story starts with Battery because
Okay.
we both were in a straight edge hardcore band in the 90s called Battery. Although Brian is older and he started that band, I was a super fan. I still love the band. And then I was lucky enough to later join the band and get to tour the world on my first European tour ever in 1999, and totally just blew my mind that was possible and that could be done, and totally changed the trajectory of my life for sure. And so we became good friends. He opened his recording studio. He moved back to DC. We stayed in touch. We did 3 records together. And the entire time over that course of by the way, that was a span of like a decade that we did those 3 records,
Oh, wow. Okay.
Brian was producing recording bands for so long. I can't even think back. I mean, since he was 16, I mean, it's so many records, things that he's recorded, who knows, but I was constantly trying to be like, man, like, why don't you do a band, and we did do a few bands, and he had been in an awesome band called Milltown, but his appetite for being in bands had sort of just dissipated. So it was just gone. And then for whatever reason, I think it was because Battery did a couple Revelation reunion shows around the 30th anniversary, or maybe it was the 25th anniversary. Yeah. I think we did 2 different anniversary things. Now I'm mixing them all together. But I think the first one we did was for Rev 25. And that sort of just got things moving. It got him back out to being a singer. And so then flash forward to not last year, 2 years ago. I lost a year because of the pandemic. We did a Battery. We did a reunion tour where we kind of went on tour with this band H2O, which everybody hopefully knows and loves. They're a legendary New York hardcore band. And that really set the stage for Brian being like, I love this. I love touring again. I love traveling. And me being like, yes, finally, like, let's do this. Let's do another Battery record. So we started working on that. And then that didn't feel like it was like exactly what we were doing. And we weren't kind of sure what direction we were going to go in. And then we kind of had this epiphany that maybe it had to be like a totally new band. Right. And then we sort of took the demos and we drew in all these other awesome, talented people. Aaron Dahlback, even though I knew knew Peter and was working with him in another band that I have, I knew like Dahlback really well, and his energy, like his enthusiasm towards the band, really drew us all together right away, just because like I was into it, but I was so inside of it, right? I'm like, man, this is awesome. Like everybody's gonna love this. And then he was like kind of like the validation, right? And then we pulled in Peter, who we knew was an amazing guitar player and also has an amazing voice, which is like, I don't do vocals that well, so he really complements that end. And the missing link was Shane, who was through Peter, because they are in a band called Fairweather, and it gets kind of incestuous and confusing because that's the way the music scene here in DC is. And it's also kind of generational because I've played in other bands with Shane. I mean, I've played in fun little cover bands and stuff around town with Peter. And so for me, in a strange way, I guess I'm kind of like a connection between them all. Although Dahlback, he's kind of an outlier. Brian and him made a bunch of records together, and so um, in some ways we're all woven together in this incestuous band madness, right? then we started a new band, so we've got Be Well, and then it kind of, once we had the crew and once we had the tunes, it was like we put together the weight and the cost. That was very laborious because of the fact that Brian also produced and tracked it, was the engineer and the producer at the same time of it, and so it was a ton of work for him.
Okay.
And I think I'm really glad with the way it came out, but we just recently finished up a bunch of new music also that we did. And this time, I mean, it's amazing to be excited about the next release already, because I feel like that full length just came out, but it just flowed. It was just so much easier. And I think, again, like, Brian's on fire and it's going to like set the world ablaze. And I'm excited about it. I've been pushing him forever. And this band is kind of the, personification of that push, if you will.
That's
I
awesome.
hope that's not too long of an answer to
No, that's great.
How'd that get started? But that's kind of
No, that's great. It's better than I expected. I mean, I wasn't sure how any of that worked, so I had almost no info on Be Well, but I did see that you guys were on the Strength and Unity compilation.
Oh, cool. Right.
Amongst like so many other legendary hardcore bands. What was that like?
Well, I mean, that is all dedicated to Coney Island, which is like an awesome venue that we've played. Darkest Hours played, Bane's played. I don't think Fairweather played there. Battery played there. They have this awesome wall there, and it has all of the bands that have played there and all the times and all like in the dates. And it's so cool to see like this history there. And it's a very special place because it was in some ways reclaimed after World War II, I believe, as an art space for free thinking. And it's, has a special story. The community protects it, and people support it, and people respect it. And man, it's just like the ultimate example of a perfect DIY collective venue that has a full service catering area and a cafe and a skate ramp. It's just like and so I believe this was a benefit for them as part of the COVID relief or something. And so of course we were happy to provide a song because all of our bands had been so touched by the place, and it's a cool place to talk about. So if you're ever going to go travel Europe and you're going to go to Germany, this is where you can go see some awesome shows. They have them. The schedule's crazy. So we love it.
That's
Long
awesome.
live Coney Island. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I noticed also that Be Well is playing Fest and Furnace Fest later this year, as well as doing some dates with Boy Set Fire. You must be stoked for that.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to get out the cage. You know what I mean? And Be Well is in a very different position than Darkest Hour because we are a new band. We have new music, and we need to like get in front of people's faces right away. And
gotcha.
We can get in on the, get on the downside and just show up and rock, kind of no frills, and it's going to be really exciting. And my approach with Darkest Hour has been like to kind of pick our battles back and make sure we come back and it's like the show that people expect and everything, blah blah blah. So the awesome thing about Be Well is it gives me the opportunity to get out there as a artist and just feel like the wind driving in the van and load in and like not have the same pressures, but also have new challenges. So I mean, I'm excited about it. And the way that it's kind of structured, we don't really do, we're right yet. We don't have that I can announce a foolish long tour. So the plan that we have, at least towards the end of the year, are definitely smaller runs and stuff. So I'm excited to, ease my way back into sleeping on the floor of a van or something.
Yeah. That's something that I'm sure you wish like, I wish I was done with this part.
Man, no, well, I'm just saying the easy living at the dojo got me kind of
I got
kind
you.
of like loose, and now I got to get my war shoes on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was talking with somebody recently about how, we got used to being basically inside and having almost like kind of normal human hours. And then once those like 14-hour days come back, I don't know what's going to happen,
Well, try not to have them. You
Yeah.
know what I
There
mean?
you go. Smart.
Slow down. I'm trying to embrace some of the wisdom of that I've learned while I've been cooped up, and one of them is trying to not do as much all the time and just be in the now.
Yeah.
So
I
just
agree. I've had to come to this similar realization. It's just like, maybe I could just chill and relax. Like maybe that'd be a good thing for me. Um, but anyways, something else that I'm sure you're super stoked about is the signature ESP guitar that you released recently. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
well, yeah. I don't know if you guys all know this, but I love heavy metal and I love guitar. And these two things come together beautifully in my brand new ESP Presents LTD MSV1 Mike
Yeah.
Schleibaum Aero guitar. Listen how long that name is. Uh, so I have been running around the stages for like 20 years, playing every shape, style guitar you can own or buy. I've been, fortunate enough to be able to interact with all of them. And
Mhm,
kind of, over the years, I had a single cutaway style guitar that I liked a lot, and I would dabble with that. But then I fell in love with the Floyd Rose, and so you'll see me with more Strat styles, and then you'll see me later with the V. And the V that I fell in love with was an ESP Aero, because we've been working with ESP as a guitar company for over a decade.
oh,
They've been
nice.
extremely supportive of us. Like, we have been sponsored by other companies in the past, but what's unique about ESP is that for a company that's, as old as they are, I think it's 40 years is the anniversary, something like that. And
Wow.
they make such high end stuff, but the way that they treat their heavy metal in specific, and I say that for real because they're artists, because
Mhm,
a lot of guitar companies will skew away from that because they don't want the guitar to seem branded to a
mhm.
type of music, because a guitar
Okay.
is just an instrument. And I'm sure ESP doesn't want themselves fully branded as a heavy metal company either, but they embrace heavy metal. They
Uh-huh.
support the artists, the touring, the young artists, and they have also supported Be Well. I mean, they support a
Okay.
lot of emo and hardcore. Comeback Kid has the ESP endorsement.
Oh, nice.
Even the Rolling Stones are endorsed by Ron Wood has a ESP.
Mhm.
So they've got classic players, but they support the arts, especially the young heavy metal arts. And so I've been happy to be working with them forever, and fell in love with the Arrow, which was a factory design that they just put out. But they gave me a chance to make my own
Okay.
signature one, like
Uh-huh.
design it up. And then from that ESP model, later the LTD version that is now for sale was designed. And the basic differences of it are the things that have culminated in my love of, guitar for all these years. So
Okay.
basically, not to make this answer too long,
Go
but
for it. Go as long as you want.
the short the short of it for the features are, this guitar is basically mahogany.
Okay.
Not all ESP LTDs, not all ESP arrows are mahogany. This one is three-piece mahogany, and it's heavy. You can feel it, like
Uh-huh.
a Les Paul, or thicker kind of guitar. I'm trying to explain something, maybe if you hadn't felt I mean,
Yeah, so I'm not a
maybe a
guitarist. I
Les
don't know.
Paul. But yeah, so you're not a guitarist, so it's just really heavy.
Okay.
Okay, and so the wood is dense, right?
Okay.
And then the other thing that's really interesting about it has a different set of inlays that you're not going to get on a regular guitar. Some cosmetic stuff, Olympic white finish, but the main thing that is special about the guitar is the scale. Okay, because like some guitars, their Fender scales, they're longer, and the
Mhm.
Gibson scale shorter, but they're either one or the other. But mine is in the middle,
Okay.
but in the middle of those two, just a little bit shorter than your standard a longer scale guitar length. And to me, when you get up to do those little runs and arpeggios and stuff, it really counts up there. And ESP makes such like a quality guitar that every note sings all the way up to the 24th fret. I need both octaves, you know.
Okay.
So in the end, I mean, I'm in love with this thing. Like I'm in love with the guitar, and I want to encourage people to, you know, if you can get your hands on one, because they're special. I mean, they're a production model, but if you can see one
Uh-huh.
and you can buy it, then it should be in the back of your head that these are not like, they don't just growing trees everywhere. Like they are
Right.
they take a lot of thought to complete, you know, based on the details. So that's why the price point is over $1,000. You know, it's
Okay.
not. I've gotten some great guitars lately that are in the 3,495 range. You know, and in a
Oh, wow.
pandemic, that feels great. You know, like okay, I'll pay that for a quality instrument. And some people might be intimidated by a price point a little bit over 1,000, but the truth is, one, it's what it takes to get this to be like as good as what I would use on stage. And just, I don't know, you fall in love with it. And I think, to me, as a guy who buys a ton of gear and has a ton of crap, it's like that's worth everything. Like if you
Gotcha.
actually love, like, and a lot of people who own gear and own instruments, man, they collect them, they hoard them, you know, it's
Right,
kind of a
right.
thing. So I encourage people, like, you know, make sure you invest that money in the right direction, because, you know,
Gotcha.
maybe 1,300 isn't a lot for a guitar if you start thinking about all the stuff you've blown your money on that wasn't quality. So
Right.
in the end,
Yeah.
that is that is my sales pitch of my new guitar. Please go check it out, and you're gonna see me rocking that thing on tour and on the internet very soon.
Hell yeah.
And be well. I like to use the Eclipse style fixed bridge single cutaway guitar that
Okay.
they make, because you know, mine has a Floyd Rose, and the Floyd Rose is problematic if you're not going to use it.
Okay.
So we don't do whammy bar madness in Be
Right,
Well
right.
yet. So
You're getting there. You'll
we'll
get it. You'll
see.
get it.
We'll see.
You'll get on the next
but
record.
I like to you know, as a person who doesn't want to totally self-identify as a solely like a heavy metal guitar shredder, I
Yeah.
love the ability to kind of morph and be like in an environment with Be Well where the songwriting is so amazing, and then
Yeah.
be in an environment with Darkest Hour where the musicality of everybody is so incredible, and just be able to feed off of both directions, you know, is kind of what keeps me going every day and keeps me focused enough to wake up at 6 and do my band, instead of like going, man, I should maybe get a job.
Right, right. Yeah, I got you. Um, so where did you come up with the name Riff Dojo for your recording studio?
Oh, man, it was like I don't know. It's that's a funny question. We just needed something. It's like
Uh-huh.
everything. Like you just, I don't know. And I have a tendency to not know that I do this, but lately I've been trying to hone it, which is
Okay.
that, like, even with the naming of our daughter, it was like we needed to name the like thing my wife was carrying, so we just named it. We named it her name and just called it that, and she was that, you know. And
Right.
just there have been albums where, you know, John was like, "Yeah, I want to call this album Undoing Ruin." I
Hmm.
was like, "That sounds good, but what does that, you know, mean? I don't know. Well, we'll just call it that for a minute." You know what I mean? And then
Gotcha.
boom. So I think with the Riff Dojo, it was like I just wanted something fun. And
Uh-huh.
I have done a lot of different style projects here over the years,
Yeah.
but I've recently made the commitment that because of Be Well and Darkest Hour, we're doing so much that I just wanted to be able to do that, be like a dad, you know, be
Right,
able to
right.
turn it off occasionally. And also that's given me time to paint, you know, and find some
Cool.
other things that are fun. And not that I don't miss producing, like I like it,
Hmm.
but the pandemic made it super problematic because
Right.
I did it. Oh, I produced a record by the band Age of Ruin from Washington D.C., and we did it all in masks the whole time, and
Oh,
nobody
wow.
got COVID, but it was a total, like, you know,
It's, yeah, way
grind.
stressful. Yeah.
And but the guys did it. The whole thing's filmed. It's all crazy, and you
Nice.
know, I so even though I say, like, I like to verbalize, like, okay, I'm like, dojo's closed to the public, I'm just doing my thing. Then I'm
Right,
just
right.
like, I could tell you 3 more records I'm going to produce before the end of the year. That is like, oh my God, what am I doing? But I have started partnering with some other friends who are very talented mixers and
Okay.
masters, and kind of just outsourcing certain things so I could be a part of projects, but not have to like commit to
Be
the entire grind with
100% in
him.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you just have to make sure that you are a creative, I guess, asset to whatever project you're in. You can get away with that, but
Right. Yeah.
it can erode confidence too. So you gotta be careful with that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Getting in there a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to find balance. So here I am.
Cool. Well, one of my favorite records ever was actually one that you produced. It was the absolute scene classic "Are You Serious" by Dead to Fall.
Okay.
Oh,
Well, hey, so let's bring in Brian McTernan right away, okay?
okay,
Because you just said that I produced that, that's what that says on the back of that CD. But Brian McTernan produced me, and then
okay,
my name was on there. And well, I guess I should clarify what I'm saying. So, we had met and become great friends with Dead to Fall,
right,
while touring with them. They're all still close buddies of mine. All of them, love them all.
awesome.
They're all, some of them are more difficult personalities than other, but they know who they are, and they also know that I love them. And we were gonna do this record, and man, they put me through the ringer, dude. They showed up and they had a bunch of wild ideas, and it was out there, and it was a lot to try to execute. And then Brian was trying to do his best to figure out a way to find some balance in the studio, so he was attempting to like see if he could let me bring a bigger project in and complete it, and without him being have to be super involved. But that was like
Right.
a totally not true. He had to be completely involved, and he was involved. And
Yeah.
so in the end, I don't know who produced that, me or him, but the overall result
Mhm.
is fucking awesome. Like, Are You
Oh,
Serious
yeah.
is awesome. I regret that to this day that I let him go down the road of having it be like funny lyrically. I regret
Oh,
that
right, right.
because I think that had that album been about skulls, crossbows, and whatever, and just D&D shit,
Yeah.
people might love it more. But they were where they were at, and that is a snapshot in time of what they hated
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
They wanted to troll everything, and then they
Yeah.
wanted to do it in a super progressively modern metal way, which I
Yeah.
think they did. And I like there's so many tracks off that just stick out to me. Like that song "The Future" is so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Damn. Stupid, the first track is
Yeah.
badass. But
Yeah. The
I tell
ending
people to check it
breakdown
out.
for that.
But it was a tough time. It was a tough time because the band wasn't prepared,
Right.
and but a lot of the good ideas happened because they weren't prepared. So you could argue that it would just needed to be the combination. But I appreciate that they had like a really good sense of humor the whole time. And even though I can tell you all the miserable stuff that happened, I still remember it as so much fun.
Yeah, I
Even,
mean,
I have so many bad stories about what happened in there, but
oh, I'm
I'm just
sorry.
gonna leave. Well, just like funny shit. Like I think we all thought we got scabies or something, like
Oh,
bed
fuck.
bugs, something about bed bugs or something. I can't remember what it was.
Oh,
And so
fuck.
we had to like go at like 2 a.m. Everybody had to take their sheets down to the like laundromat and try to wash them. And then we were like not gonna tell Brian because we were like, oh man, we got bed bugs in his studio. And then like, was it bed bugs? We didn't know what it was. We thought it was from
Right.
us. So that he had just had a baby, and so he had to like he freaked out and then thought maybe he had to burn all the stuff in his house and all this stuff.
Right.
It was just like chaos. And it ended up being fine.
Yeah.
Nobody got anything. People probably just broke out in hives because they were stressed. I mean, that's
Yeah.
really probably what happened. But it's kind of like great comedy comes from great misery.
Yeah.
Great stand up can come from tragic moments. And I think kind of that's what's hidden in Are You Serious is a little bit of
Yeah.
that. And that's why I think it's a cool
Yeah.
record.
It's a phenomenal record, I would say. I just I mean, like because yeah, like the way you said that they wanted to just troll everybody, and like I think that was very necessary for the time.
No, well,
And like
I think it influenced a lot of people to go in a direction that they knew they could get away with,
yeah.
and whether that record blew up, they were a band's band too, and a lot of bands were watching and copying and listening. And
Yeah.
shout out to Tim Java, the drummer, who also did some time in Darkest Hour. He's done a lot
Oh,
of
I didn't
tours
know
with
that.
us. Oh yeah, Java did a Machine Head tour with us, and
Oh, nice.
might have been one other one. He went to Japan with us and
Oh
Australia.
shit. Nice.
So Java's been all around the world, and he also is really a genius when it comes to internet web stuff. And so he's done a good job of keeping a Dead to Fall visible. And now he has a whole slew of other projects.
Really?
Yeah, and also he has a whole slew of other projects, and so does like there's another version of Dead to Fall that's running around right now, and then
Okay.
so there's a couple other Phil, the guitar player, was on that album, is doing some amazing stuff too. Like
Oh,
he's
cool.
incredible. So I think people should, if you're a fan of any of that Dead to Fall crap or any Are You Serious, you can definitely check out that those guys are still being very prolific. They're all
That's
out there
awesome.
still in the game.
Nice. Yeah, I saw them when you guys brought them through California for that quick run. I can't remember. Was that the Undoing Ruin tour?
Yeah, it would have been when we got them together to do the quick little reunion thing, man. That was a
Yeah.
trip, dude. That was so funny. And we're good at that though. We
Yeah.
got Bloodlet to do their first European tour and who knows how long with us recently.
Nice.
Um,
Light the
you
City,
know.
you got them back together a couple of times, I think, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like Light the City is like one of our oldest loves in a way of like they were just so good and they just were so ahead of their time, and they had a rough run of it in a sense where I don't know if they got a fair shake, but they're great. And so to get, if we had to put together if we had to put together a tour, we love the idea of like pulling together our friends
Yeah, of
and getting these
course.
bands that it kind of, and so we seem to be able to find the right text message chain that gets some of these things to happen. So
Yeah.
you know, we don't. Also, we tour with brand new bands, young
Right,
bands. I
right.
mean, even for a band as old as we are, we still are still bringing out a lot of bands on their first tours that later go on to do really well. And I'm proud of the history of like if you go and you see, you're gonna see some weird flyers. And you're like,
Yeah.
what, Darkest Hour, and then Suicide Silence is all the way at the bottom, or
I
what,
was at
Darkest
that I
Hour
was at that tour.
in a mirror's opening, like what,
Yeah.
like a mirror, Whitechapel, like
Uh-huh.
and then Cephalic Carnage, and it's like, man, if that lineup would be flipped, in some weird
Right,
way now,
right.
but we've been lucky to be
Yeah.
able to do all that.
Yeah, that Suicide Silence one was a real fun one. That was like the first like show I ever went to.
What? Well, okay, so what one was it? Can you tell me what show it was?
It was in Fresno at the Exit. It was Suicide
Oh,
Silence, August Burns Red, and then I think Unearth. Did Unearth, were they direct support or headline? I can't remember for that
dude.
tour.
Okay, hold on. Unearth was the headliner.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure August Burns Red was second,
yeah.
but then Darkest Hour and then Suicide Silence may have opened because we didn't open.
No, no,
So
no,
I
no.
don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. You guys
So I don't
were at least
remember
third.
what happened, but there was I have this distinct memory of hanging out with Mitch before a lot before that tour. They would play first, and I would hang out with them before they would go on and stuff,
Right.
and fuck around with them. And it's funny to think that now because like there's so many tours where they headlined and did whatever.
Hmm.
So I don't
It's
know.
yeah. It's just cool to see the evolution of a lot of people, and it's fun to see like Darkest Hour has been a part of all of it. But when can we expect the new Darkest Hour record? I know you guys are working on it recently.
Man, I have a lot of releases coming out, man. So first
Okay.
of all, Darkest Hour has been doing a bunch of stuff on a website called Patreon. We've
Yeah.
been doing a ton of vinyl, limited.
Uh,
Oh, look, yeah, dude, there you go, man. Thank you for your
Dude, of
patronage
course.
or whatever you say.
Yeah.
So we've been putting a lot of energy into that to make sure that's been like a good experience for people, and then
Mhm.
also to make sure that we're also making like cool things that can exist, you know, in some form, possibly like later. We've been putting out a ton of awesome limited releases there that hopefully can be repurposed and put out somewhere else. And we're really excited to have like built that kind of connection with people and made special things by ourselves that we've never done. And we've been using that infrastructure to set ourselves up to be able to put out our own music in some way
Mhm.
very soon. But we've also been using this infrastructure to, at the same time, fund the making of it, which is radically new for us because we've had to do all sorts of things in the past. Signed to 11 different record labels to fund albums. We crowdfunded one, we
Right.
licensed one. So we've definitely been experimenting. And so the Patreon has been a growth, and
Okay.
the unleashing of it all is going to be basically when we put out this new music. Okay.
Okay.
But the question that everybody has is when is kind of tricky because we are also not on the same timeline as the world around us because
Right.
we know that when that time compresses a lot of things. And so when we put out this album, it has to be like good in the way that every other Darkest Hour album's been good,
Mhm.
but relevant in some new way. Like, you
Yeah.
know, we have always put out, you know, for lack of a better analogy, like a really good hamburger or a really good sandwich,
Right.
veg-
Right.
vegetarian burger. Actually, we like to be progressive, and
Okay.
dress it up in different albums, different ways, and feed you a little bit the same flavor, but a little bit differently. And so we need
Yeah.
to find that right recipe on this album,
Mhm.
and and love it, feel it, conceptualize it, and then blow it out to you all the best way possible in a cool, fun, entertaining way because we do this because we love it, not just because we're, you know, making a ton of money off of it or it's our career. I mean, we really like geek out with this stuff. So I
Right. Right.
think that the Darkest Hour new music is going to be hitting you before the end of the year next year, you
Mhm.
know, but I
Okay.
don't think it's going to be coming out this year because I think this year we're still in the phase of um recording the pre-production.
Okay.
So I would say that the album's written, but there's a lot more evolving that's going to happen for
Okay.
sure. And that could even mean like certain limbs are dropping off, like certain songs, certain,
Right.
you know, it could mean all sorts of different things are going to shift. But once we have that draft, right, and
Uh-huh.
that concept happening, then it doesn't take long before you really fall in love with parts of it. You know, we are working on art already.
Okay. Cool.
We're working on a whole other kind of maybe circular approach than last time, where or any time really, because the way the pandemic kind of hit us, where we had to be apart from each other for so long,
Uh-huh.
really all these ideas kind of were put into sketchbooks and now are being kind of pushed together, molded together, if you will.
Okay.
And it's exciting because in the past, when you're making albums in succession, you're touring off. It's like
Right.
harder and harder to find the ingredients to pull that together.
I
And
get you.
this unique situation, I think, has given us the chance where in another lifetime, I may have felt like, let's record it right now, put it out, boom. But
Uh-huh.
I think now seeing the trajectory of live music coming back
Yeah.
and hopefully things turning a corner here with everything in the world
Yeah.
economy wise, then the idea of releasing a record that I'm going to try to sell to people in some way is going to make sense. But I think for anybody who's taking a risk on the Patreon, what's interesting is that I think that journey will be a lot different. Like, I mean, yes, the general public is going to have to wait until like next year to hear New Darkest Hour, but I don't
Right.
think that's going to be true for the Patreons because as we've been also releasing old back music, old MP3s, old
Yeah.
demos, old sketches, we know we also will release maybe new clips, maybe new snippets. You know, I mean, we have to be careful about the way we present stuff now because
Yeah.
people love the band and you just don't, you
Right.
know, you want to present the right. But I think
Yeah.
as we get into the studio, which we are doing, we are entering the studio this weekend. As I said,
Oh,
John's
awesome.
recording some vocals down there. We're going to
Okay.
be doing entering the studio here in DC called Ivacoda. It's owned by one of the other guys from Fairweather,
Oh,
and we're
cool.
just going to do a closed session where just like the band, like we're going to get together, we're going to make a record, we're going to record it, we're going to mix it. It's going to be slamming, and it's not going to be for release. It's for us.
Awesome.
That way there's no pressure. Like I'm not trying to record my own Darkest Hour album and then put it out and save all the money or whatever. What we want to
Right.
do is try to get a chance to really collaborate, but also control the environment and make the album we want to make. And we feel
Mhm.
like on album 10, having been around such great, talented people like Brian McTernan, Devin Townsend,
Yeah.
Frederick Nordstrom, Peter Witchers, you know, we want to Taylor Larson. I can just keep Paul Levitt.
Yeah. Yeah.
We want to be able to, you know, kind of have our little moment. Like we get
Right.
to play with this toy before everybody else wants to come in. And I don't even know if we're going to use a traditional producer this time. I feel like
Okay.
it's more about like what does the band have to say, and
Mhm.
how do they want to say it, like, and so I think that's like on the production and the look, and I
Yeah.
think we're gonna have fun with it for sure. So
Cool.
Patreons, y'all gonna get hooked up super soon. Everybody else that doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about and doesn't want to Google Patreon, you're gonna have to wait until next year, but it's coming.
Right. Sweet.
Releases take time to cook up, especially
Right.
vinyl now. The lead time on a lot of vinyl pressing is like 4 months out on stuff.
Really? Oh,
So I'm
wow.
hoping that changes, but we've switched to doing some cool stuff on the Patreon for a minute because vinyl releases take a minute or
Yeah.
longer to kind of create. But we're doing a really cool like sticker pack of like a bunch
Yeah, I
of
saw that.
crazy stickers we've never done. We
Some
got
of
a
your
lot of
paintings
other.
are in that sticker pack, right?
Oh, I have some painting stickers that are for sale on my Big Cartel store,
Okay.
MikeSchleibaum.bigcartel.com, and I'm absolutely going to be throwing those in to the Darkest Hour sticker pack. But yes,
Okay.
I'm a painter on the side, and I have now moved to turning my art into commerce, unfortunately, but just for fun. And
Yeah, I mean, why not?
well, what happened was I was experimenting with the Patreon. And
Uh-huh.
yes, I am a painter. I paint cats for fun. And my
Uh-huh.
daughter got me into painting via Bob Ross, who I used to love when I was a kid. But I
Hell
could
yeah.
never paint because my mom would never want like the paints to be all over the place. Because I
Um,
mean, who wants oil paints on your kid? It's kind of a bad combination.
I mean, I guess
Although
so.
my mom did encourage me to draw and paint and do all sorts of things. And so that's where I did learn a lot
Okay.
of that stuff. So I don't want to say that she didn't encourage that, but oil painting to Bob Ross just was too hard because you couldn't rewind and pause it.
Right,
Like
right.
it just basically you watch the show and you just sort of tried to have to do it. And so
Yeah.
once my daughter sort of fell in love with it on YouTube and started showing me it again, I just immediately started painting to it and realizing that I could like pause it,
Right,
rewind
right.
it. And then family night just became like both of us painting like every night. And then when she got bored with it, it became her playing Legos and me painting every night. And then it just
Mhm.
became a thing where like I became so into it, like I would record and work on guitar and music, and then do business shit, and then eat, and then it was just paint, and it was just like
Nice.
constant. But I was starting to get inspired by a lot of it that was pulling into my music, so I was like, this is really fun. And then started having a lot of fun, cool, funny Bob Ross paintings. And then we have a bunch of cats here at the house. We love cats, so I started
Okay.
painting cartoon cats because I also love cartoons. I mean,
Huh.
I'm covered in cartoons on my body. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right. Yeah.
And so then I don't know. I 44 and I got a hobby.
That's awesome
How'd
though.
that,
Why
how'd that
not?
happen? But I encourage people who are deathly addicted to something like music, or their drive for a dream or a career or something, that I know we are absolutely, that way about music. And so it's nice to have something that you do for fun to try to remind your brain like
Yeah.
what that feels like, because it is really easy to get lost up here in all that stuff and forget like a lot of the reasons why you're doing those things. And
Mhm.
then to to learn how to be bad at something again and be humbled by it is super interesting. I think it's hard for a lot of adults to get to that stage,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
um especially having tried to I've done guitar lessons for all ages, but kids, yeah, they're used to sucking and trying. But
Right.
parents, adults, they don't want like to have that failure. They think they can schedule and budget time and do, and it just doesn't work
Yeah.
like that. It's fun just happens, so
Yeah.
I've really appreciated my journey into like now having a lot of clothes covered with oil paint, having half the dojo covered with like brushes and crap down
That's
there, and
awesome.
it's fine. And then as I was experimenting with the Darkest Hour Patreon,
Huh.
we were like, hey, we got to do something different than vinyl. Vinyl's taking too long. What are we gonna do? Let's do
Yeah.
some stickers. What?
Yeah.
John, our singer, was like, I got these cool stickers made. Let's do stickers. And so for fun, for the samples, I just used a bunch of photos that I had on my phone of
Okay.
stickers of paintings that I had made of
Yeah.
cats, just for fun. And then I got the samples, and they were awesome. And I was like,
Yeah.
these are killer. And then I did the same thing with a ton of Darkest Hour art, like fun stuff we'd never done before, and I got those back, and I was like, these are awesome too.
Awesome.
And at the same time, a really good friend of mine, and he's an awesome tattoo artist named Sean Brown.
Hmm.
He is a legendary hardcore singer. He was in the band Swizz from
Okay.
DC, so he's the singer, and he's an awesome dude. And he's a tattoo artist, and he's tattooed me a bunch. And he did a bunch of cool drawings for the MSV guitar, and so we made some fridge magnets and pins and stickers of that. And we're just
Awesome.
gonna hook up people. And so I guess in a weird kind of roundabout way, the visual has really helped, the audio,
That's awesome.
in my
Yeah.
brain. And so,
Yeah. It's both creative sides of you coming together, kind of, you
yeah,
know?
I guess it would
Yeah.
be the visions help the oral,
Yeah.
but you get the,
Yeah. I
you
told,
got
yeah. No,
fact checkers on YouTube. So,
um, something that you can also find on YouTube is the metal injection cover that you did recently, or excuse me, Metallica cover that you did recently for Metal Injection with members of Venom Inc. and Mutoid Man.
oh yeah.
How was that? What was that like?
Well, this whole pandemic cover thing is kind of crazy. This is like a new thing. Like, can you believe that people weren't doing that stuff before? But it just
Yeah,
became like
it was
so
like right
cool.
there. Why weren't we doing it?
But there actually, to take it a step back, there was I guess a web series called 2 Minutes to Midnight that
Oh yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah.
did. I did a cover with Braun from Mastodon and some other guys for of an Ozzy song.
Oh
And
fuck yeah.
that cover was for Halloween. So this was like, I must have been losing my mind because I actually
Yeah.
decorated and dressed up for that shit. So
Oh nice.
I
How
must
have I
have had a
not
lot
seen
of
this?
well, Google Over the Mountain.
Okay.
We're the song's Over the Mountain, and it was members of Kveller Tech, Mastodon. Maybe
Oh
there's
fuck
somebody
yeah.
from Mutoid Man in there, but I don't know. And then Darkest Hour. And then that was so awesome. We had also been paired with this Slay at Home festival
Yeah.
we did two different like pandemic like guestings with them, and John did a thing. He did a battery cover. John from
I
our
saw
singer,
that.
and he did a battery. He did a Metallica cover
I knew what you meant. I
of
knew
the
what you meant.
song.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I forgot. There are people watching this. So he did
Yeah.
a Metallica song,
Right.
Battery,
Right,
from
right.
Master of Puppets, and I did Holier Than Thou. But my
Uh-huh.
Metallica song actually was done first. I just want to throw that out there. And and we love Metallica, man. So fuck it, the Kings, right?
Hell
But
yeah.
that one in particular was a lot smoother in the sense that it was a lot. There's a lot less happening than in Over the Mountain.
Okay.
So the Metallica song that I did for Slay at Home Fest was just pure fun. It was like, oh,
Nice.
like I've known this song. The guitar solo is a ripper, but it's short. There's a cool little harmony section. Oh, it's obvious that Lars didn't play any double bass, so
Right.
add some double bass, and we have a cool little version, right?
Yeah.
But with Over the Mountain, I mean that's like fucking classic.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Braun, like he's so good at singing, like it's crazy. So
Yeah.
and then you're like, shit, I gotta play this stuff. Like, and then I also want to say that the way that 2 Minutes to Midnight sort of like twisted it and added like a different tuning to it, if you hear it, I think that like a lower drop tune kind of guitar in there. I think that really gave it a fresh sound. So I enjoy doing that stuff. I also get kind of like stressed when I feel like maybe I'm putting too much energy into it and not like focusing on obviously the record, which is what people want, or
right.
band practice in any of these other bands or whatever. But
Yeah.
but again, just like painting, you can learn a lot by doing that stuff for fun, and you start to see what other artists, like guys in bands, are out there doing stuff like that too, who are also, just like they're stuck at home, or at the time they were, and also they're connecting, and they're all creating over this,
Right.
kind of
Right.
this strange way together. So
That's awesome. How did Darkest Hour land the official fight song for the hockey team Washington Capitals?
well, that took a lot of guerrilla warfare.
Okay.
Originally, we recorded "Let's Go Caps" for fun.
Uh-huh.
We were
Okay.
just like doing some re-records for "So Sedated, So Secure," and we were doing some covers. And I was like, I love that Pantera Dallas Stars song that they have. You know, Pantera has a Dallas Stars hockey song theme. And I always thought that was funny. I was like, man, we need to do one for the Caps, dude. Just get in there, man. Put down some drum. So of course that first song came together, but it's real rogue and real rough. And so we just threw it out on the internet for fun. But all of a sudden, people involved with the team, not the team, but people involved with the team started like using it. Like,
oh, cool.
And we were like, whoa, this is cool. It got used on radio and got used on the internet. And then it got used at a game or two. And we're like, damn, all right, well, let's make them another one. So we made, first it was Rock the Red. And then first it was Let's Go Caps. Then we made Rock the Red. Okay. Because Rock the Red became their slogan, right? They were like, they had told us like, hey, this is great, but we don't want anything to do with this band because we're got to sell red. So Rock the Red is our slogan. So if you want to write a song, Rock the Red, maybe we'll use it. So we wrote Rock the Red and we're like, wow, we got a connection there. So we sent it to them and they seemed like they were kind of like cool. They seemed like they were into it. But then we like ran it up the flagpole, put it up everywhere. And we're like, yo, we love the Caps. Check this out. And then as soon as the internet reflected back, like their love for it. And the thing about the Caps is they're always doing these, the Washington Capitals is our hockey team from here, is that they're always doing a thing where they're kind of asking their fans, what kind of music do you want to hear? What kind of music do you love? And they always pick heavy metal.
Really?
At the top. Oh yeah.
Awesome.
And but they don't really do a lot to connect with that. It's not like they played metal, So then I think they started listening and man, not only did they play that got us like everywhere, man. That got us on TV. We went on Channel 4 Sports and talked hockey. We played, me and Deal, our bass player, went on there and we played a little song like Good Morning America style. It was awesome, dude. Like Channel 4 News, like legit talking hockey. And then we thought, all right, fuck it, man. We want to make one more. So we made Unleash the Fury, which was like, that was rogue because that was in a sense like something that happened at the games that they would pull out this Tom Green skit called Unleash the Fury. You YouTube that. It's pretty funny.
Okay.
They would pull that out and that became a slogan. So we kind of used that in the song Unleash the Fury, which was the last Capitals thing we did. And that, the instrumental of that and the vocals of that, which is cool because it's actually John like screaming in the voice that he uses for Darkest Hour, which years ago, if you told me you would have heard that in a hockey arena at a regular game, that would have been insane.
Yeah.
Like death metal singer. But now like they played that a bunch, got used in the videos everywhere, promos. Awesome. And then all of a sudden the Caps won the Stanley Cup. I'm not saying that the song did it.
I mean,
we didn't get to play a game. We didn't get to do anything cool like that, or but we got pretty close. We got to party in the owner's box.
Wow,
that was pretty cool.
Nice. So eventually, we'll get there.
Yeah, well, yeah, and we got. We're so thankful to have been able to go on that little excursion and use heavy metal to kind of like delve into hockey, this thing that we love so much. But,
hell yeah.
Something
I've always loved about seeing Darkest Hour live is when you guys do the human pyramid, where you stand on each other's hips and play a riff. How did that get worked into the band's live show?
All right, you're talking about the most electrifying stage move ever.
Yes.
Okay. It's called the pyramid. That's what we call it. But actually, we must give credit to the Scorpions. I don't know if they are the first. But the Scorpions used to do the pyramid, if you will, with the singer on the top. Okay. And so that was relatively cool. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's relatively a lot easier because he's not holding a guitar.
Right.
So at some point, our guitar player in the band at the time, his name was Mike Good Times Garrity. He had a very short stint playing guitar in Darkest Hour as the second guitar player.
Okay.
And Mike brought a lot of cool ideas to the band that a lot of people don't know about, like were his, because he was in the band for such a short time.
Okay.
But one of his ideas was the pyramid, because he had seen another band, just a local rock band, just crush one night. Like a nameless rock band doing nameless Kiss
Just
cover
generic
song.
rock, butt rock or
But this
whatever.
band did some cool stuff. They all wore shirts that said "Crew" when they set up, and then changed their shirts real fast before they played.
Nice.
And they also did the pyramid, but again, they did the pyramid with the singer, and I think that's when Mike got the idea, like, hey, we should try to do it, you know. And I was like a climber, a jumper, or whatever. It's like
Mhm.
you should do it, not, you know. And Mike and at the time Paul, our bass player, they were both like bigger framed than me, so it was easy for me to kind of climb up there and do it. Also, Darkest Hour was way less interested in playing the songs right back then, so it became a lot.
Okay.
But then the pyramid was invented, and dude, we did the first night we did it, we were like, holy fuck, like all right, like people are into it, like whatever. Then the
Uh-huh.
pyramid happens. Like I'm saying, like it's like you flip a switch, man,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So then it just became something we did, and we didn't do it all the time because we've had several different guys playing guitar over there, stage left throughout the years, and sometimes their knees won't hold up,
Right,
you know,
right.
or sometimes they, you know, they're
It
not
can't be
as
easy to
athletic,
do.
and
Yeah.
also it's super hard to get over there um, on that side of the stage and plan it out unless you have the
Yeah.
right size stage. So it's not, you know, it isn't something you're gonna always see.
Right, right.
Okay, it definitely isn't something you're gonna always see, but we do it a lot, and it's just it's hilarious, man, because it's like that's the thing, like all
Yeah.
these things we do, lights,
Mhm.
fucking crazy guitar solos, whatever. But you know what you can do? Oh, go ahead and climb on each other, dudes. Then
And
we're
everyone
gonna
will love
chill.
it. Yeah.
Do some acrobatics. Also, do it after you've drank like a bunch of beer.
Nice and weighed down for it.
Yeah. Oh,
All right, got two last questions here for you. And this one's a bit of a deep cut, kind of odd, I admit. So I've always wondered in Darkest Hours 2005 DVD, Party Scars and Prison Bars, what is the story behind that cardboard cutout of George Bush that keeps making appearances throughout the DVD?
whoa. So we were on Ozfest,
Okay,
and this is a deep cut question.
I got
Okay,
you.
but I love that you got this one, so I'm gonna give you this answer. So we were on Ozfest, and because we had been added late, we weren't able to play or book very many like shows like that were on the off days. And Ozzy took,
Okay,
you know, Sabbath. It was Sabbath, took every other like day off. So it was
okay.
like days off all the time, right?
Mm.
So we had a few random shows booked here and there. And one of them was in Little Rock, Arkansas, at this like legit punk like collective, like they had lights, and then it was just like a warehouse, and it was in the middle of like the nowheresville part of town that nobody wanted to go to, and some
Oh
punks
shit.
had this warehouse, and we
Okay.
rolled up with our tour bus, the whole thing, like
Uh-huh.
ready to play the show, and ready to fucking, you know, rock, you know, because we
Yeah.
finally had a day. And then of course there was like one other band and like 10 other people at the show, and it was like kind of like just a weird squat with like dogs running around, and just
We've all
like
been to those shows. Yeah.
we were like, oh, okay. And so we were like, okay, I guess we might as well just walk around this neighborhood, you know. And so we walked to across the street to this like video store because we thought maybe we could get some videos to play in the bus, or like DVDs, because we're bored as shit, and in the middle of
Yeah.
like we're always in the middle of parking lots with the bus.
Right, right.
We get in there, and the first thing we see is this huge giant cardboard cutout of George Bush, and we're like, holy shit, how much is that? And this is like one of those parts of town where it's like everything's for sale. So they're just like, fuck
Cool.
it. Like $20. And we're like, dude, what? So we got the $20, and the first thing we did is we ran around to the bus and we knocked on the door, like, right? And then the door opens and we just go, blah, with the George Bush. And dude, fucking I think it was either Tito or Paul, whoever it was so scared. They screamed, and then that just became a thing. So we made a little video montage of George Bush popping off,
and scaring everybody.
and then it just became a thing, a skit, and it's funny because now, given the age of social media, that might have just been some stupid shit we would have posted on the internet, like, and just forgot about. but because it's encapsulated in a music, But that George Bush, man, he became famous. He went to like Ozfests,
Oh
and we
shit.
took him to all the after parties. We bring him out, and people would take their photos doing fucked up shit. But then it
Yeah.
sucked because he ended up. We brought him to an Ozfest party. Everybody got drunk and did a bunch of fucked up shit to him. Then,
Ah.
but you can't expect it to not have it get destroyed eventually.
I'm surprised it had such a long life.
It was such good video. It was such good
Yeah.
video.
All right. Last question for you. And it's admittedly kind of dumb. When are you guys going to get a follow-up song? When are we going to get a follow-up song to Polar Bear Hunting USA?
Oh God. So polar bear hunting is awesome. Like for those of you who don't know, it is a hidden secret funny track on the end of So Sedated. And it may only be the only hidden funny track that exists that Darkest Hour has. I'm trying to think.
Well, there's like Polar Bear Hunting,
Two.
and then two, and then there wasn't like it was like guitar or like this guitar or something.
Oh,
like
Esteban. Okay.
Esteban.
Yeah, but all that's kind of the same deal. All that's kind of from the same thing. So
Right.
well, first of all, polar bear hunting, you probably won't get a sequel because now dudes feel bad about even advocating for the death of a bear. Okay,
Right,
but just imagine it was a joke.
Yeah, no, it is 100%.
But that song was we really wanted a joke track, and Victory was fucking pissed.
Really,
they did not want that on the record at all, and I understand why they didn't, because Associated ends kind of like so cool with the fade out or whatever, and it just ruins them, whatever. But we also were crazy and we convinced them to put that stupid secret track on there. And you know what's funny? You can go on Spotify and listen to it, and it pays out royalties more than some of our other songs.
Okay, that's weird.
But we have got a bunch of other joke tracks that never got released. I don't know if I'm going to put them out or not. They're kind of just like, I don't know. Maybe they're too stupid or maybe not. But that one is the one that got past the goalie. So that's one you all get to hear.
Nice. Maybe those can be all the other ones can be future Patreon bits here at some point.
Yeah, I try to keep the Patreon tracks to something that I think has some kind of value. I mean, because we have I don't think people realize we have so much shit we've recorded and tried. It's like and I've been in the band and doing it all, like kind of not documenting it all, not doing it all, but collecting it all these years. Right. So I've got all of it, and now we have an avenue to connect to people and share it with people who care, and not just like throw it out there and cause too much white noise, and so now I want to pick those nuggets. So
yeah,
but the Patreon's gone on longer than I thought, so
it's a cool way to stay creative.
We may have to dip in that gold, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. Any last comments, anything you want to plug, anything like that?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for your patronage again, because it's so awesome that you've supported us, and I'm happy to meet and talk to anyone who's taken part in the Patreon at all. So I want to encourage anyone, when shows start up again, try to talk to us. If you see us, say what's up. Yeah, we may be busy or we may be in the middle of something. I mean, that happens, but we love to connect with people, and especially the people who have been supporting us now. I mean, we appreciate anyone who's ever bought a record, of course, and we don't expect people to feel like they have to participate in this website monthly thing. I mean, some people don't have the money to do it, but those of you that do, that are really helping keep that credit card rolling, so we can keep making the stuff the way we can dream up in our head. You have a special place in our heart, and we want to say what's up. So this is the spiel where I say thank you for anyone who's participating in the Patreon. And then I also say thank you to anyone who's checked out Be Well, because we're a new band and we appreciate all the love. And we've been fortunate to put out a record on EVR and hits. And we are going to be releasing new music soon, along with Darkest Hour, who's going to have new music soon, and who appreciates everybody for the 25, now 26 years of support. And we will be returning to the stage on the same day as Be Well on September 26th. So, looks like the dude's been busy, but I really have been lucky to have so much support from people out there and people like you and people, my friends and my bandmates and my family. So just like to end with a little appreciation, and we'll see you all in the pit very soon.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll talk again soon in
Cool.
person.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go back downstairs and possibly listen to a new Darkest Hour song
Fuck
recorded
yeah.
with vocals, man.
Hell yeah.
That's the best when you get to hear it for the first time.
Yeah.
So, and cheers, man.
Cheers, man.
Party
Awesome.
on.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
See you later.
All right. Take it easy. Thank you so much for checking out the latest episode of RAD Chat featuring Mike Schleibaum of Darkest Hour and Be Well. Make sure to check out all the links in the description for all of Mike's projects, as well as RAD music. We've got some merch available at our store. And make sure to follow and subscribe.